Are you getting burnt out? You're a workaholic? You're overworking yourself? This is the video to watch. I'm about to change your paradigm.
Yeah. I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Sumedh Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Today we're talking about this idea of grinding is misaligned flow. Now there's this term going around, okay, toxic productivity. Now when you think of toxic productivity, usually people make videos and it's like, it's all the meritocracy's fault, right? It's the capitalist society that, okay, listen, I don't want to make this about that. I want you to understand something, first and foremost. Human beings are hardwired for play, okay? That's how our brain functions, our prefrontal cortexes get more activated, right? And we start to actually use our cognition, right? Our thinking appropriately. Now in the flow state, our cognition actually shuts down in a sense, right? To get us to actually be in the zone, right? So we need that exercise of play, but then in performance, we can't really rely on play or work or all of these different things, right? We've just got to rely on our specific gifts that we have in that moment or that specific skill set, right? A lot of people work hard, but they're not working smart, okay? And also, I've redefined a couple of things of how I work hard, okay? I see hard work as solid work, okay? I don't see hard as difficult. That's the first thing. You want to start to disassociate hard work from difficult work, okay? Because when you think of hard work as difficult work, you're not going to have a work ethic. You're not going to be productive at all. So when I look at it as solid work, it really helps me to, okay, I've done what I need to do, and maybe I can push myself. I know my limit, right? So what happens is when you're misaligned with your flow state, you are not speaking to your body, right? Your body says you need rest, but you're going against that, right? You're taking 5-hour energies, like 6 of them. You're gonna crash eventually, right? Espresso shots, you're just completely trying to get that energy so you can crush one out, Red Bull late at night. I've done it before. We've all done it before, right? When we're trying to just grind it out, hustle, push, it really takes a toll on our health, okay? If you can't do that, if it's emergency, that's okay. But if this happens day after day after day after day, you're lacking sleep, you're lacking, clarity, you're lacking any kind of good feeling, and you're associating feeling good to producing something, then it starts to become a problem. So one of my close flomies, he's there the Genius days, RJC is also an IMC brother. RJC was asking me, what is my definition of work? Okay, so in my personal definition of how I define work is effortless efficiency with engagement. Effortless efficiency with engagement and sustainability. That is work. Anything that is against that paradigm, I don't consider that as work, okay? A lot of people say that work is play. I think that sometimes I call them homework, home play, like I used to do that a lot in the past, and I still do. I think play is a nice idea of reframing, you never have to work a day in your life when you're enjoying what you're doing and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, if you look up the definition of work, there's effort involved. Now, I'm looking at work like the effortless effort, okay? Because it is still an effort, but it's not the type of effort that is misaligned. I mean, it's going against your values, it's going against what you believe in, it's going against your engagement, it's going against what you enjoy doing, it's completely going against your mission and core mission in life. Now, hey, there are times in life where a job becomes a stepping stone towards something greater. That's okay, right? I admire that. I actually admire that, the fact that you're working towards something and that thing is how you're gonna get money at the time, but then you're peering into the edges of the future and you're seeing yourself very different in a specifically different type of lifestyle. That is ambition, right? And we need ambition in life too. However, when we become overly ambitious and start to identify as the character that, when I'm not ambitious, I'm feeling bad, then it starts to become a problem. So what exactly is the difference between an engaged worker and a workaholic? The engaged worker says, I work so much because I love my work. Straight up. I work so much because I love my work, man. Like, that's all I'm doing. Like, this is all I'm doing. Like, these videos is work for me, right? Yes, it's play. Yes, I'm giving advice. Yes, all of that, but it's also work. Like, I sit down, I say to myself, I'm going to record a video on a very specific topic, right? And I go at it. And it has an outcome, right? I'm there to give value, so you guys see the value, and then eventually choosing to work with me or not. Or choosing to, engage and use the information in this video or not. However, workaholics are driven to work because they feel a compulsion to work. Okay, they feel compelled towards working. And it's because of this mentality of I have to. I have no other choice. It's a scarcity mentality, right? Paradigm. Think about this. I have to work because I have no other choice and society wants me to work. I should be doing it because, again, it's the societal pressure. It's the outside external influence getting me to work. Also, now that we have this, COVID bubble system of like being isolated, it's a lot more difficult because everybody's indoors and they're just working all the time, trying to make up for hours, not really socially engaging with others, where actually a lot of the play and the fluidity happens, right, is through social engagement with others. Right? When we're interacting with people, we're bouncing ideas back and forth, and it's like this boom, 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 right? It's like this amazing like juxtaposition of different ideas, different concepts, just like banter, joking, teasing, back and forth. We need that. But if you have a work culture that's messed up, you're gonna suffer for it. If you're noticing your boss doing some shady stuff on the side, or the company is trying to do some illegal business on the side, or it's trying to, make the employees like work double, triple, quadruple hours for no reason, just cause they feel this lack, that's low vibration energy. And low vibration energy produces more low vibration energy. I can guarantee you, I can predict that company is gonna go bankrupt. That business is not gonna work. Why? It's just sustainability, right? That's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as an optimal way, as a maximizer. I'm a maximizer. I love expanding and growing, but it also comes with a problem. And I'm gonna discuss that problem with you. Is this constant workaholism, toxic productivity state of, I can do better. But I can do better though. And it becomes this amorphous blob of, am I at the top of my game? How do I know I'm at the top? Okay? And it becomes this scope of perfectionism where I'm trying to break down every little nuance, but not giving myself the praise and the congratulations, and skimming over compliments from people. Not letting myself feel the win. Maybe I'm winning, not letting myself feel it. Right? I'm sure we've all been there. I've been there. I'm sure you've been there too. So in this state of beingness, there is no objective enoughness. It's not enough. It's not enough. I've got to do more. I've got to do more. I've got to do more. And with job security dwindling and this entrepreneurship mentality of like how we're portraying ourselves online as just like these completely efficient robots, right? Automators. Just like, hey, I'm going to have all these robots do this for me. We start to really disconnect with our humanity. All right? And just the one-on-one connection of getting on a sales call and being like, hey man, this isn't even a sales call, right? This is a connection call. Rather than a strategy session, which at the end of a strategy session, they're going to try and sell you on something, right? Every single time. So I advise you, don't call your things strategy session. What happens with a lot of these grinding hustle people is they latch on to their self-fulfilling prophecy of they see 10% that's wrong, they'll zoom into that. They'll not consider the 90% that is right and amplify that. We have to stop sugarcoating things and look at the inadequacy underneath the workaholism. Because when we're in this stressed out, burnt out, fight or flight state, all nuance, creativity, and awareness is lost. It's just gone because we're just focused on survival at that time. Purely from an animalistic perspective, we're just focusing on, hey, these are my resources. right? I gotta get the most. And this competitive climb becomes very, very constricting rather than expansive. It's very, very difficult to convince some of these entrepreneurs that I work with that actually working less might get you better results. Because they automatically equate in their mind that push for it, grind all the time, make sacrifices, get to the top. I mean, I align with the philosophy, be the best, forget the rest. Like, I know I've got to be the best. However, at the same time, I also know if I constantly feel like I have catching up to do, I'm going to act in a way that alleviates those feelings. And the danger here is it's an amorphous concept. It's a blob. You can't pinpoint it. It's ephemeral. It's dust, smoke and mirrors. What does being caught up even look like? How do you know that you're caught up? So basically, you're at this win-lose paradigm of I'm gonna win, these other people are gonna lose. I gotta protect my own. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and I'm gonna no, mine. And it comes from trauma. The sad thing is it comes from trauma. It comes from bullying. Why? Because a bully made us feel underdeveloped. A bully made us feel like we weren't good enough or we can always do better. If you're striving to be better because of the dissatisfaction of who you are, it's a problem. I do this thing where I look at my past and I'm like, why was I like that? Like I was such a loser back then, you know? Like blah, blah, blah. And I have that mindset and I don't even know why. Why am I shaming my younger self who needs more love? Little Sum doesn't deserve that hate from me. I'm not a drill sergeant. I actually got to be the facilitator and the coach for my younger self, my inner child. A lot of us find ourselves working at autopilot. We're being introverted and we isolate ourselves and then we don't feel happy. We don't feel happy if we're not doing something. We're not feeling good until we're doing something. And that's what the culture makes us, right? That's really what society and the culture makes us do, is that they make us into workhorses. They get us into school so we can be workhorses. So it starts there. The conditioning starts very young. And the more you can work, the more money you can make and the more opportunities that you have. Not necessarily. Because are you being busy just for the sake of being busy? Are you being productive because you want to prove it to your parents that you can? These are unhelpful paradigms to be in. Because you're constantly going to be in that chase of, they'll never love me enough. Drop all of that. I'm telling you. Come back to your core. What is true to you? What is pure to you? And what is that work allowing you to really do? Because the best work that I've produced are moments of rapture. Moments where I've let go. Moments where I completely forget everything. Shut everything down. Lock my door. Put the blinds down. Play some classical music. Right? Get into the zone. Completely hone in. Pat myself on the back. Train my mind like a puppy that's like screaming, Netflix, Netflix. And I gotta tame that dog. At the same time, I love my work. So I'm an engaged worker. I'm not workaholic. Workaholism comes from a deep belief that I don't feel good enough. And so I must work to prove myself. I don't feel worthy. And maybe, just maybe by working, I'll prove my worth to the people around me. And hey, it's cool to work. That's the thing is, right? It's cool to work. If you're working, that's awesome. But I just want you to make sure it's something that you believe in. And it's something that's producing the optimal results. right? Because if it is, if you're being productive and you're getting a job promotion and all these great things are happening, but just make sure that you don't push and then burn out. And then you have to climb all the way back up the mountain again. No, I want you to be sustainable with this. So take those rest days, take those days with family, take those days with close friends, take those days where you're going on a walk by yourself, take those days where you meditate for an hour. You can push your work hour maybe a little bit later, or you can have someone cover your shift for you. Take those days, okay? Don't take so many of those days, because that's another negative thing, right? It's like, you know that you're moving away from your work slowly and your mental health is not functioning when you start taking way too many sick days, way too many off days. You're not feeling engaged to come into work. You're noticing that your body is tired all the time. You're filled with tension. You're like completely dissatisfied with different areas of your life. Like you're going down. You're in the pit. And maybe you've been in the pit before and you never want to go back to the pit, and that's why you're working. I know I have. I know I've been in the pit. Have you been in the pit? The dark night of the soul? And a part of myself, I came to this understanding very recently, that I told myself I never want to go back there, and that's why I'm pushing so much. At the fear of not going back there. But guess what? If I push a lot, I am going to go back there. It's a paradox. So development is linked to our development. Let me say that again. Our development is linked to our development as children, how we developed. So our personal development is linked to our development of maturity over the years. So if we still have mommy and daddy issues, we're not going to be the most efficient, limitless pill creators. We're not. We have to deal with the gunk that is the residue that is there. We have to process that, sit with that, remove that, release that, so we can be these open channels of creativity. You can't take blind action to cover up your past action. And you're gonna feel unfulfilled if you're pairing that from a pain body. Have you noticed people where they're just like, I can't believe you don't believe in me. What the heck is wrong with you? And you're not even saying anything about that, right? You're like, whoa, I didn't even mean that. I don't know why you're yelling at me. Like, that's a pain body attack. That's a pain body attack. You got to notice these things. You got to actually be more empathetic in those moments and understand something there. There is a wounded person there crying for help, and you're trying to argue with them. So if you tell yourself, I can't afford a day off, I don't have the luxury, right? You're still in that scarcity. I don't have the luxury to have a day off. And again, it's associated with bullying. So I've noticed this, when I don't work, I feel weak. Because just like that bully made me feel weak in the past. See what I'm saying? This is how deep it goes. This is how deep the rabbit hole goes. And most of our bosses become bullies when we're working for some company. It's the same pattern. It's the same pattern that keeps playing. So if you're like, never give up, I'll never be weak again, I'll never take a day off. And that's where the burnout, the struggle, the toxic productivity, if you really want to call it that, there's no toxic anything really, but it's how we frame it that makes it toxic, and how we use it that makes it toxic, right? So then, again, in my own belief, there's no toxic productivity, it's wounded productivity. It's those little moments of the past that shaped us, that make us want to work to cover up something. But it's time not to cover it up. It's time to be badasses. It's time to evolve in a way that's sustainable. It's time to take aligned grind. It's time to be the aligned hustler. The one that knows when he's got to back off a little bit. The one that understands that he's got to lean into his strengths and not just look into their own flaws. It's the one that knows they're watching way too many self-help videos and their action isn't balanced out in terms of how many videos they watch. Right? It's the one that knows that, okay, I'm going to read a book, but I'm also going to tweet about it and teach people, because we teach best what we most need to learn. That's what I'm talking about, is that sustainability of that work, that mindset of productivity. Make sure that it's coming from your deep core true self. first of all, feeling worthy, feeling tapped in, feeling like you trust yourself with your decisions. And not just, saving a bunch of time getting groceries and having a Soylent, but instead really working in times of your day where you're playing, times of the day where you're connecting with others, moments where you can just get into a cold bath and just unwind, moments where you can crystallize, because when you slow down consciously, you can speed up unconsciously. If you're speeding up consciously, you're going to slow down unconsciously. So that's my message to you today. I hope this video hits you, it resonates with you. Make sure that you engage. Engagement over workaholism. Let's get it. Boom!